What if Deku had Bendy's powers? Part 2. Today we're going over the USJ and the 2v2 Hero Course 101. As we go back to where they're sitting in class, as Bendy's just messing around with his pencil, as they're waiting for their teacher to arrive. As then Bendy hears something. I recognize those footsteps. As then All Might bursts through the door. As, of course, they say, whoa, it's All Might. He's teaching class 1A. Wow. Their usual reactions. Now, of course, he does the same thing about the clothes make the pros, or something similar. So, now it's time for me to describe Deku's hero outfit. So he's obviously going to have black hair. He's also going to have a black suit with a white bow tie. So imagine, Bendy, a bit taller, black hair, and suit and white bow tie. That's his hero outfit. Also human. And of course, we go to where, alright, today we're doing, heroes versus villain training. Course 101. And of course, we'll be choosing by, draws on who's going to be teams. Ida asks the question of, but sir, why would we need to do that? As Momo answers, because heroes don't usually work together. It's on the fly. So basically it's random, because you don't know who you're going to be working with next. As he is like, you have a fair point. Alright, draw, spears, pretty much. They're like circle balls in the, whatever, just their lot system or something. As he pulls out, and it's the same one as in canon, which I believe it was A? I didn't pay close attention to that, but pretty sure it's A. And I'm actually changing up his partner for this one, and it's actually going to be Sue, the frog girl, because I feel like changing it up. As Bendy, Deku, and Sue have time to discuss, as they're the hero side. So, Midoriya, what's the plan? As he just puts his hand on his chin. Well, you see, I can make ink and all that. So maybe I can cover several of the spots in ink. Now I could travel through my ink. So basically, if I mark places on the building, and I need to escape, I can simply go through the ink and pop out there. That's really useful. I can also make several other things. I could turn my body into ink. Only downside is I can only do it for a certain amount of time. So, yes, I'm putting a little bit of limitations on Bendy's powers because if I go with the lore and all that, he is going to be unstoppable. So there's a bit of a limitation. And of course, Sue explains her frog quirk. Question, can you climb up walls? As she says yes. Alright. You know what? Why don't you go on the outside of the building? I will sneak in through the front. I'll make an ink trail to lead them away. Or at least lead Bakugo away. Will he try to burn the ink? Oh, don't worry. My ink is quite resistant. As what do you mean? Well, I'm making the ink very durable in this. Just for the sake, because we're in my hero where there's quite a few people with fire quirks. Fire doesn't really have that much of an effect on my ink, you see. It kind of puts it out. Alright. As, of course, they start doing the plan. As Bendy Deku is just going to walk straight through the front doors with his hands in his pocket with a gigantic smile. As every time he steps, ink appears on the floor. As he's just walking down the hall, and Sue is going straight up the side of the building, of course, avoiding all the windows in case Bakugo sees her. As she makes her way to the roof, we go to where Deku is just walking down the hall and just hears, Bakugo come turn the corner saying, die! As he prepares to lunge himself at to explode Deku, he throws himself, and Deku simply just falls into the ink, and he goes flying right past him. And now he's confused because he just vanished, and he headbutts a wall. Ah, where'd you go? As he's looking around, trying to find him, he was just there. As then Deku pops out of the ink right next to him, right here, as he punches him straight in the cheek, sending him flying down the other hallway. You're gonna pay for that. As he prepares to send more explosions, this time he jumps over them and does a roundhouse kick to the head, sending him down the other side of the hallway and, hitting the ink on the ground. Alright, you're not much of a threat here, so I think I'll just have the... As he's about to say that, Baku then just explodes the floor, and then points one of his gauntlets at Bendy. What are you doing? As he then pulls the pin, setting out an attack that will definitely defeat you. As All Might does say in Bakugo, don't do that, you'll kill him, not if he dodges. As he fires the attack, and it's seemingly destroying the entire hallway Deku's on. As he simply just, appears behind him and does a little bit of a, neck chop, knocking him out. As everyone's baffled, how did he dodge that? Replay cam, please. As a camera appears frame by frame in the observation room, showing him slowly sink into the ink to evade the attack. Man, that ability really saved him. I barely caught on the camera myself. If he didn't have the ability to go through his ink, he would definitely have lost that fight. Yes, most definitely. No, he would not have. Deku, let me give you a little bit of a power balance here. Deku is highly resistant to almost everything in the MHA verse. He would have survived that attack. Would he have gotten injured? Maybe a little bit. But that's how resilient he is. Now, if he was in his second or third form, that definitely would have done some. But if he was in his Ink Demon form, that would have done none. Okay, back on into this. As we go to Deku, who's just, walking through the building, as we go to Sue, the frog girl, as, of course, she's having trouble dealing with Ida. As then, he remembers something that Deku gave her. As it's a bottle of ink. If you need my help, just simply throw the bottle onto the ground. As Ida is coming close to, hit Sue again, she simply does a jump and a roll, as then she throws the ink at Ida, who swiftly dodges as it hits the bomb. As Ida turns back, and as he turns back, the heroes have won. As we see Deku just come out of the ink spot that hit the, bomb, and simply touching the bomb. Heroes win! As, of course, he has won the day, won the match. As, of course, he's smiling. We work pretty well together. As he gives her a smile, as she's a bit flustered. Well, it's nice working with you, too. Well, anyway, it should be lunchtime soon. We should go to the cafeteria. As she agrees, as they go to the cafeteria. Now, I know Monoma eventually does this in the anime, so I don't know if this is a little bit early or not. I'm just going to do it because it's going to be funny. Monoma shows up saying, oh, it's just class 1A. You think you're better than us? Of course, Kendo quickly puts him down. And he just falls into, ink on the ground as Kendo asks, where did he go? Let's see. He's on Street Avenue. Nah. Wait, you sent him there? No. I'm just kidding. I don't have ink all the way stationed there. That's several blocks away from UA. I simply sent him to the nurse's office. Yeah. And he hit the hard, cold floor of the nurse's office, just missing the bed by an inch. He'll be fine. As, well, Kendo joins them for lunch since, why not? As they start talking and all that, and these characters have started to grow a liking towards Deku. Uraraka, Sue, and Kendo. As, of course, the alarm goes off and all that, Bendy's like, I'm out, and simply just lowers all of his friends into the ink, and they're a bit shocked and a little bit scared as they just appear in their class. You could teleport people? As they're all surprised, they look at Deku. Only a limited number. In fact, we're pretty much at maximum how much I can teleport. Which, there was Ida there too, so like 4 people other than himself. As he then proceeds to do the rest of the day as canon and all that. As we go to the day of, well, I believe there's actually the voting for the class president. Deku's not going to win that one. He does not want to be class president, although it would be a funny if I made him that, but no. We're going straight to the, well, USJ bus. As they get on the bus, as Bendy's like, you know what, this could use some paint all over the place. Like, we could simply have some, like, ideas, like maybe a Bendy picture there, a Bendy picture there, as he's just going across all those ideas in his mind. As he just gets on, of course, he's just sitting in the back of the bus, or just in his usual seat. I can't remember who. I think he sits next to Uraraka, and Sue is near him as well. But of course, they talk about, so Deku, what is the, well, absolute capability of your quirk? Let's see. Well, for one, I can definitely go through my ink. I have like 1 or 2 other forms I can use. As they're surprised, 1 or 2 other forms? Yes, they're I actually don't know how to use the other one, but I know how to use 1 form. It's basically our last resort brute strength form. It's where I cover myself completely in ink, and it's a bit hard to control, but I've managed to clear out Deku Beach with it. Although timing myself so I could try to increase the timer of the ability to use, well, the big form and all that, because that form can literally possibly destroy buildings. As they're shocked and all that, and raise her head. Shoto Aizawa was listening in. Really now? Yes. As then they arrive at the USJ. As they get off the bus and all that, and they walk in, of course, 13 does a little bit of talking about the, well, you know, the rescue training and all that, her hero, other stuff. Of course, to the famous point of where there are even villains here by Kirishima. As Eraser said, those aren't fake villains, those are real. As the heroes are a bit scared, hero students, Class 1A students, whatever. As they're a bit scared, as Deku's just smiling, ooh, some fun! As he prepares to just go out there, as of course Aizawa stops him. You're no fun. As Eraser then goes into them and, goes to attack them. As 13 tries to lure the students away, out of the building, but Kurogiri shows up, teleporting all of them away. Now, the one zone to where Deku is going to be teleported is the same zone as canon, the shipwreck zone. But instead of falling into the water, he falls on top of the ship for this. Certain reason for this. As of course, Mineta and Sue, grabs Mineta and they get on board and they're discussing a plan. So what should we do? We're surrounded by villains. It looks like they don't want to come up here, which means they possibly don't know what our quirks are. So they're being hesitant. I'm guessing those three at the beginning were the main leaders, being Kurigiri, the Nomu, and Shigaraki. So what do we do? One, we could simply, well, Mineta, we could use your quirk here, but we need to make a huge downpour within the lake or something. Or I could just do this. As Deku just leans his hand over the side, and just ink starts to flow from it. And it's just like an endless supply of ink as it starts spraying throughout the entirety of the shipwreck zone until it covers every edge of it. As to ask, what do you do? Oh, don't worry, they'll just simply be trapped in the ink as we just look over, and a lot of the villains cannot move because they're trapped in the ink. That should wear off in about a few hours. Basically, when my ink is, well, mixed with water, it makes it more, well, liquided and stickier in a way. Stickier? Yes. When ink is usually a liquid and all that. Mixed with water, it kind of dissolves all the ink out of it, making it clear again. Making the water a bit dirty. But if I use a certain type of ink, it can just go over the, well, water surface. And it will stick villains together, and they basically are just on the flow of the ink laying atop of the water. Because Deku's smart, and I believe he can come up with something like that. As then they simply just takes them to the edge, to where they watch the fight with Eraser and all that. Of course, he gets beaten bad, and Deku actually does something and sends ink, wrapping ink binds around the unconscious villains so they can't get back up. As then he goes over and tries to punch the Nomu. As it doesn't really do anything, as Nomu attempts to hit him, it does hit him. His upper half turns to ink and he just, recreates his upper half. Wow, that was quite a hit, as he then just tries to throw multiple punches, as he's simply dodging it and all that. As he's still trying to throw punches, hitting him and all that in that form, but it's doing nothing to the Nomu. I'm gonna have to think outside of the box here. As he pulls out an ink hammer and tries to hit the Nomu as it just breaks. As he looks at it, back at the Nomu, looks at it again, back at the Nomu goes for a hit straight in his head. He simply does, goes back in the ink. As he's contemplating while he's in the ink, the Nomu starts just to bash at the ink on the ground. As he then appears out of the one small molecules of ink that's flying in the air, and simply shoots ink bullets into its back. Doesn't go deep, but he simply just regenerates. Regeneration and shock absorption. Noted. And I'm guessing also increased strength. There's no way I can beat him in this form. As he then turns around to go hit Deku, and oh no, as he can't dodge because he's in mid-air. He's got no ink to go back down into. As he gets hit and he gets sending towards the stairs. Now here comes one of his ridiculous abilities of creating ink inserted areas. As ink appears on the stairs and he luckily catches himself. As he pops back up and with the momentum of the throw of the Nomu, he simply uppercuts the Nomu, sending him back a little bit. As he then looks at his arm, which is a bit, injured. Oh, great. As he simply just regenerates his hand. Ah, much better. Now how to deal with you, as the Nomu then just rushed at him again. You know what, I didn't want to have to use this form, but you leave me no choice. Beast form, as he transforms into the big beast form, and everyone in the area is shocked. As he then just starts to, duel it out with the Nomu. He is bigger than the Nomu, bear in mind that. But the Nomu is still playing up quite a fight. As he's hitting left and right with his beast form. As he then does an uppercut, sending it flying back a bit, because his strength is immense. As he then starts rushing at the Nomu. Nomu, kill him! Shigaraki says. As Nomu gets up, they start doing fist to fist, kind of like how All Might was, except the bigger fists of the beast form of Deku are getting way more hits in than the Nomu is. He then lifts up his hands as they're like together in a fist as they just swing down, crushing the Nomu. As he then just starts doing it over and over and over again until he's a pancake. As then the beast form picks up, well, the pancaked Nomu. As Deku's trying to take back control. Hey, what's happening? It should be happening. As he's trying to just stop, because he can't control his arms. As then we hear a voice in his head. Well, it looks like he's taking control. I'll keep me a secret for now. Just don't mess this up. As the other form, the beast form, who only speaks in like growls and all that, just simply eats the pancake Nomu. As it says a few words, the first words we actually hear it say, destroy. As it then just starts going around bashing villains, sending them flying all over the place. Bear in mind, no one really knows or was able to see Deku transform into this form other than Shigaraki. For the sheer fact, the students could not see Deku. As he simply just, fighting left and right, hitting the Nomu all over the place. Well, not the Nomu, the other villains all over the place. He ate the Nomu. Silly mistake on my part. But he's bashing villains all over the place, destroying the area. The fountain is now nothing but rubble, and water's just leaking from the pipes. As he tries to run over at Shigaraki. As Shigaraki barely evades, it touches one of its arms. As it starts to decay, as it simply just raises its other hand, it simply slices off its own arm. As it looks at Shigaraki and does as it then just regrows the arm through ink. What is that thing? As Kurogiri, get me out of here. As Kurogiri appears behind him, but then his metal plate gets punched by, Bendy Deku in beast form. As he's sent flying, and his metal plate is cracked. If he had hit any harder, it would have shattered and killed Kurogiri. As Shigaraki is terrified, but more villains start to show up on the scene and try to aid, they just pretty much get destroyed, as then All Might appears. Of course, All Might not knowing that this is Deku, he goes in for the battle. As he's doing a fist fight with Bendy Deku in beast form, as All Might is getting a little overpowered due to its speed and strength. But of course, he does the same moves, and he doesn't have shock absorption. So unlike the Nomu, the Beast Deku can get overpowered by strength. So he simply is getting punched and all that, because All Might is faster than when he's in his beast form. As of course, he's landing a few hits, and All Might admits they're heavy blows. As we go to where he does lowering one of his hands down as All Might put his arms above, he blocks as he really feels the weight of the punch. Wow, this guy's strong. As he then throws his hand in the air and then proceeds to, punch the Nomu. Punch Deku, sorry. Sending him flying as he, hits the other side of the USJ. That should have taken care of him. As we hear a growl, "Rrr!" as he gets back up. Yeah. As then we see a hand in the mind of Deku. On the beast. Pretend there's a floating ink demon behind Beast Deku as he stands back up. You've done enough. As he looks back, he says, "Ugh. I said you've done enough." As it starts to back up. Ugh. As he then just transforms back into Bendy. Bendy Deku. As he falls unconscious. Again, Bendy Deku doesn't know really what happened. It's just like he lost control. Now, Hero is Class 1A, and no one else knows of this form except Shigaraki, because he saw the transformation. And that is the end of Part 2 of What If Deku Had Bendy's Powers. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what y'all thought about this video.